I'm Ann Shaw. I'm an architectural historian, archaeologist, and Hoosier. I love exploring Indiana's history and lesser-known sites and stories. Join me as we explore old houses, museums, historic sites, and archaeology throughout the state. This is AnneArchy. Hi, we are here at the Seiberling Mansion today in Kokomo, Indiana. I am here with Stu Lauterbach, who is the curator of the Howard County Historical Society. Stu, can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. I think I have the best job in the world. As a curator, I get to take care of the old things. I get to catalog them and take care of their preservation. And I'm a kind of a jack of all trades. I do a little exhibit work on the side.
Very good. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of the house and the property?
Sure. The reason that the Seiberling Mansion is here is because we're on the very western edge of the Trenton gas field. The Trenton gas field was the largest gas field when it was discovered, and if Kokomo was just a couple more miles to the east, we wouldn't have hit the field. They discovered the gas, and they invited a lot of industries to come in. We had been a sleepy farm town before that, and Monroe Seiberling was one of the industrialists that came. It's interesting to me that he started initially with a straw board factory. Straw board, I think, was a similar kind of a material like cardboard today. And within a few years, he had polluted the wildcat so much that the farmers were complaining about it. And it's interesting to me, even back then, they were thinking about the environment. And Monroe decided to sell the straw board factory on, and he decided instead to build a glass factory, which became at one time the largest and the leading cutting-edge glass factory in North America.
That's exciting.
So he decided to move here, and in 1889 he started construction on our mansion. The story is that he wanted it completed in about a year and a half, and so they dug the basement and they created a big cover for it, sort of a pole barn-like structure. And it's hard for me to imagine with 3 stories and a turret and an attic, this pole barn structure, but they created that, and they could work through the winter and get the basic building fit up. And then in 1891, Monroe moved his family here, and they occupied the mansion. And it's really an elegant piece of Howard County history.
Now, they didn't live here very long, right?
No, that's the thing that really surprises me. I can't imagine building a home. I can't even imagine building a home today. And all the planning and detail that goes into something like that, and the tender love and care, and then leaving. And the Seiberlings here were only about 4 years, and I don't know how Mrs. Seiberling left it. They moved to Peoria, Illinois, and I think it's largely because Monroe was an entrepreneur. He really was. And I think there are details about the home that would suggest that as well. He always was, I think he enjoyed organizing, creating the business, and he moved on to other things. I think he was in rubber manufacturing. When he died, he owned a zinc mine in Arizona.
Wow.
So he just always was looking for the next coming thing and moving on to organize and do entrepreneurial things.
Now, another family moved in and then lived here for quite a while, correct?
The mansion's had several different residents. Probably the best known are the Kingstons, who moved here. And George owned the property the longest of anyone. He too rented it. The Kingston, George Kingston is notable. He manufactured the carburetor for Henry Ford's Model T, and Henry Ford has been a guest at the house.
Wow.
And Mr. Kingston was a very wealthy man in his own right. He also had a number of other businesses. He had a line of early toys, all kinds of things for automobiles. There's even an electric fence for farmers that you could purchase and set up. So, and roller skates. We can't forget Kingston skates.
Okay.
One of the toys was roller skates, and Kingston Gates were kind of a thing.
Now, for a while, this house, which is huge, this is an enormous property and house, was home to Indiana University Kokomo campus.
Yes, it was. And we're fortunate, some of our hosts that if you come to visit, you get to meet, they actually took classes here when it was IUK, and so that was great. We have a campus of 4 buildings, the Seiberling, the carriage house for the Seiberling. I believe the offices for the instructors were in the Elliott House next door, and the carriage house for the Elliott House is there, which we use as our office now.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about your job and your role here for the Historical Society. Can you talk about some of your daily responsibilities and what your goals are?
Yeah, I'd be glad to. Our organization is actually over 100 years old, and as a result, we have a very large collection. In the early days, our organization, like any organization, took anything and everything, and so we have some interesting curios, some of which are currently on display. My personal favorite is a root that looks like a snake, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a root that somebody carved a little snake face, little eyes, a little mouth, a little forked tongue. The tongue is gone. And I think we found ash from St. Helens, volcanic ash in the collection. And our organization, like every organization, is learning that you can't keep everything. And in the past several years, we worked very hard to create a database. It's taken over 10 years, a database, so we know what we have, and then to really focus what we take now. We've created a collecting plan, and it kind of gives us some parameters that we have to follow. And I'm always telling my assistants, everything should have to fight to get into the collection. That's a hard thing to do, and I'm probably pretty bad about doing that too, because there's lots of really cool stuff out there. And even today, a lot of times people have something they don't want to keep, they don't want to throw it away. We'll give it to the museum. So one of the hardest parts of my job is telling people that we're not interested in their treasure, but we do that. Work with people to bring it in, to gain title, to catalog it, to store it properly, and in some cases to do some preservation work. We do very little of that ourselves, but we have the resources to outshop it. So.
And not only do those collections, like you have an archive and you work with paper and artifacts things like that, but the house itself is furnished.
The house itself is our biggest artifact, is what we like to say. Now, you brought up the furnishings, and unfortunately, none of our furnishings are original. Our light fixtures are actually, with the exception of one, are actually period fixtures that have been electrified. But the one piece that we're really proud of is our newel post lamp, and the story on that is that in between IUK owning it and building their new facility, and the Historical Society taking over as a period of about 10 years. And of course there was some vandalism, sadly, and someone took the newel post lamp. Well, the Historical Society came back in and started remodeling and putting the mansion back together. And the story is that a gentleman showed up one day and he said he was returning our newel post lamp. So it is original, the only original light fixture in the house. I think there was kind of a no questions asked policy. So we were just glad to get it back. So we have it back, and it's on its newel post, and we think that that's pretty terrific.
That's amazing. That somebody would bring an artifact back like that.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that before, so we were just thrilled.
So a lot of places right now are not open because of the pandemic, but we are. You can come here and take a tour. We are.
We're slowly reopening. Our hours are the same. We're Tuesday through Sunday, 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. You can still just drop in at the moment. We do encourage social distancing, and we do require people to wear a mask. If you don't have a mask, we'd be glad to sell you one at a really nominal fee so that you have one. And our hosts, about the only real difference is that our hosts are less likely to spend as much time with you going through room by room. We have a great self-guided tour. They don't go through every room with you, but they're always available for any questions that you would have.
What is our current exhibit?
Our current exhibit is called the Curator's Cabinet of Curiosity, and it's a favorite of mine. It was a lot to put together. We talked a little bit about having a collecting plan and how we collect and take care of things. These are some of the oddities that have become part of our collection, and some of them are things that we might not otherwise exhibit because their ties to Howard County are very, very thin. Probably the piece that I'm most excited about, actually there's a couple of them, is we have a couple of Eurypterid fossils, and a Eurypterid's common name is a sea scorpion. It's not a scorpion at all. The Field Museum in Chicago has loaned us 2 of their Eurypterid specimens that came from Kokomo. I believe that it's also exciting for me because I think the prototype or the earth form of Eurypterids were first discovered in Howard County, and so that's really kind of neat. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Thank you for joining us today at the Seiberling Mansion in Kokomo, and thank you to Stu and the Howard County Historical Society for hosting us. Please join us for more episodes to come. Hi, we are here at the Seiberling Mansion in Kokomo, Indiana today. I am with Stu Lauterbach. Is that how you say your last name?
That's how I say my name. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to start again.